Huntsville just witnessed a scandal nobody saw coming. The golden couple of love and marriage, Latisha and Maro Scott, aren't just in trouble, they're facing the FBI. And get this, after their arrest, they reportedly begged for an apology. But why would a power couple, admired for strength and control, ever do that? Stay tuned, because what really happened behind those federal doors will shock you, and it's far bigger than reality TV drama. The world of love and marriage. Huntsville just got a shock it didn't see coming. Latisha and Maro Scott, once the show's golden couple, admired for their charm and business savvy, are now making headlines for reasons no one could have imagined. Reports say the couple wasn't just questioned, they were arrested. Even more surprising, rumors claim they ended up begging for an apology, a position that seems almost unthinkable for a couple always portrayed as confident and in control. So, what really happened behind those FBI doors? And does this scandal mark the end of the Scotts' carefully crafted public image? Stick around, because this story is far bigger and far messier than anything we've seen on Love and Marriage, Huntsville. Reality TV thrives on drama. Feuds, betrayals, and explosive confrontations are the bread and butter of shows like this. Viewers expect arguments in the living room, betrayals on social media, and the occasional shocking twist to keep ratings high. But what's happening with Latisha and Maro Scott? This isn't staged conflict designed to grab eyeballs. This is federal-level involvement. The FBI, yes, the Federal Bureau of Investigation itself, reportedly stepped in, and the fallout has left fans and critics alike stunned. From the outside, the Scotts appeared to be the perfect power couple. Latisha, poised and confident, often came across as the glue holding their family and business empire together. Maro projected strength, success, and ambition, growing his construction and entertainment ventures while maintaining a public persona of control and authority. On the show, they were admired not just for their romance, but also for their apparent work ethic, entrepreneurship, and determination to build generational wealth. Together, they embodied the dream couple formula that reality TV thrives on. But behind closed doors, things reportedly took a dramatic turn. Sources suggest that federal investigators quietly began looking into the couple's financial dealings months before the arrests made headlines. Inquiries into contracts, bank statements, and business partnerships were reportedly underway. These weren't minor questions about taxes or local permits. Allegations hinted at inconsistencies in reporting, possible mismanagement of funds, and other issues serious enough to draw the attention of federal authorities. The involvement of the FBI is significant. Unlike local police or state investigators, the FBI does not step into a situation lightly. Their presence typically signals concerns about crimes crossing state lines, federal funding, or suspected fraud, conspiracy, or corruption. For the Scotts, this meant that any past business moves, financial decisions, or high-profile transactions were suddenly under a microscope. Every dollar, every contract, every partnership could be examined with the precision only federal investigators bring. The public reaction to the arrests was immediate and intense. Fans of the show were divided. Some expressed disbelief. This can't be real, they said. After all, the Scotts had spent years cultivating an image of honesty, hard work, and family-centered values. Others, however, pointed out that rumors and whispers had long surrounded the couple's business dealings, noting that the flashy lifestyle and rapid growth of their ventures had always drawn attention. Social media exploded with hashtags, memes, and debates, and reaction videos circulated rapidly, speculating about the couple's innocence or guilt. Then came the most unexpected twist. Reports suggested that Latisha and Maro demanded an apology. After being taken into custody by federal agents, they reportedly insisted that someone owed them vindication. Was it the media for spreading stories before all the facts were verified? Their castmates for public feuds and potential gossip? Or even the FBI itself, if they felt the investigation moved too aggressively? No one knows for sure, but the demand shocked viewers and critics alike. It transformed the narrative from a typical arrest story into a larger battle over reputation, fairness, and control of the public image. The implications of this are staggering. On one hand, if the Scotts are guilty, demanding an apology could appear delusional, a refusal to accept reality despite overwhelming evidence. On the other hand, if they are innocent, their demand could be justified, positioning them as victims of misinformation, media sensationalism, or a targeted attack. The tension between perception and reality is palpable, leaving fans and critics guessing at every turn. Adding to the drama, There are reports that the FBI's investigation might not be finished. Sources suggest that other individuals connected to Huntsville's business scene, construction projects, and even reality television could also be tied to the case. This raises the possibility that Latisha and Mauro are just one piece of a much larger puzzle, where multiple parties' actions, agreements, and financial dealings are being examined for potential wrongdoing. Looking at their businesses, the Scotts have long presented themselves as hardworking entrepreneurs. Mauro's construction company, alongside other ventures including the Black Cigar Lounge, has been central to their public persona. They have consistently highlighted their ambition, their desire to break generational curses, and their focus on building a legacy. But high-profile business ventures often come with high-profile scrutiny. Contracts, partnerships, and public funding projects can easily draw attention when something seems out of place. If even small discrepancies appear in federal investigations, the consequences can be dramatic. What makes this scandal even more compelling is the psychological and emotional weight of the situation. Imagine building a public image over years, being admired for poise, success, and determination, only to have that image unravel in a matter of hours. Imagine sitting across from federal agents, facing handcuffs and the stark reality of possible legal consequences. For reality TV stars, whose brand relies heavily on perception, this is more than legal trouble. It is a potential collapse of everything they've built. The fallout isn't just personal, it's cultural. Fans are debating fairness, privilege, and the intersection of fame and accountability. Was this a targeted investigation, a case of bad luck, or the natural result of accumulated scrutiny? And as more details emerge, the public must reconcile the version of Latisha and Mauro they've seen on screen with the very real federal investigation happening off-camera. In the world of reality TV, drama is expected, but the Scott story is different. It's high stakes, federal level, and unfolding in real time. As the FBI investigates, as allegations are examined, and as the public reacts, one thing is clear: this isn't just another headline. The events behind those FBI doors could redefine reality TV scandals forever, challenging everything viewers thought they knew about one of the franchise's most prominent couples. What makes this story even more jaw-dropping is what reportedly happened after the arrest. Sources suggest that Latisha and Mauro Scott, a couple often portrayed as confident, in control, and unshakable, were pushed into a position of vulnerability so extreme that they actually pleaded for vindication. Imagine that. Two people who have built an image of strength and stability, suddenly forced to beg for a sense of fairness in the public eye. For fans who have followed their lives on love and marriage, Huntsville, it was a scene that shattered expectations. But why would they do such a thing? The questions quickly pile up. Were Latisha and Mauro unfairly targeted by federal authorities, caught in a storm not entirely of their own making? Or were there deeper issues lurking beneath the surface, financial dealings, contracts, or business decisions that finally drew federal scrutiny? And perhaps the most intriguing question of all, what could possibly motivate someone to demand an apology after being publicly humiliated and placed under legal investigation? The situation, as reported, was anything but ordinary. Reality TV stars are used to drama, but this is the kind of drama that exists outside the scripted boundaries of the show. The stakes were no longer about viewer ratings or social media feuds. They were about legal scrutiny, federal investigation, and potential long-term consequences for both their personal lives and their professional reputations. To go from a position of power and influence to one of exposure and vulnerability is a jarring shift, and one that few could imagine handling with grace. Observers have speculated that their plea for vindication may have been motivated by more than just personal pride. Latisha and Mauro have cultivated a brand built on trust, success, and image. Their careers, both on and off camera, rely heavily on the perception of strength and control. To allow this federal investigation, and the arrests that followed, to define their narrative would mean surrendering years of work and carefully constructed public perception. Seeking an apology could have been a calculated move to reclaim some measure of control, to fight back against what they perceived as misinformation, false assumptions, or premature judgment. Then there's the psychological factor. Being confronted by the FBI is not simply a legal encounter, it is a deeply disorienting experience. Reports suggest that Latisha and Mauro faced hours of questioning, examination of financial records, and the exposure of personal and business matters that were usually private. For a couple accustomed to projecting confidence and stability, such scrutiny can be psychologically overwhelming. Pleading for vindication may have been as much a coping mechanism as a public statement, a way to assert that their story, at least in part, had yet to be told. Finally, the public element cannot be ignored. Social media, fans, and critics immediately amplified every detail of the arrests. Memes, debates, and speculation circulated widely, and Latisha and Maro were faced with a torrent of public opinion before any official conclusion had been reached. Seeking an apology in this context might have been an attempt to push back against a narrative that was forming without their input, a bid to remind the public that there are always multiple sides to every story, even one that plays out on national television and involves federal authorities. In short, the Scots' plea for vindication is both shocking and deeply human. It reflects the tension between personal pride, public perception, and legal reality. It raises questions about justice, fairness, and the pressures faced by public figures when private issues become headline news. Whether it was a smart strategy or an impulsive reaction, it is a moment that will likely define this chapter of Latisha and Maro Scott's lives for years to come. Let's break it down. We'll start with the timeline that led the FBI to their doorstep, look at the arrest itself, examine the couple's reaction, and explore the public fallout and what this could mean for their future on Love and Marriage, Huntsville. Along the way, we'll uncover overlooked details that reveal just how the Scotts found themselves at the center of one of reality TV's most shocking scandals. The first big question is simple. How did Latisha and Maro Scott get on the FBI's radar? This isn't a small neighborhood dispute or a minor complaint. It's the FBI, which means serious allegations like financial discrepancies, interstate violations, or other federal-level issues. On the show, the Scotts often highlight their businesses, Maro's construction company, the Black Cigar Lounge, and other ventures that showcase their hustle and ambition. Fans have admired their drive to build wealth and success, but where money moves fast, scrutiny often follows. Insiders say rumors of financial tension around the couple started months ago. Some pointed to unclear contracts, others hinted at business deals that weren't as transparent as they seemed. Normally, this might trigger a tax audit or private dispute, but when whispers grow loud enough and cross state lines, it can draw the attention of federal authorities. Experts suggest several possible reasons for the FBI's involvement. Financial irregularities or fraud. If money was mismanaged, misreported, or mishandled, especially in ways affecting investors or partners, that's a major red flag. Business partnerships under scrutiny. Maro's construction deals, especially interstate contracts, could attract federal attention if someone raised concerns backed by documents. High-profile visibility. Reality stars are more visible than private business owners, which means any irregularity is likely to draw extra attention. Anonymous tips. Disgruntled employees, rivals, or former friends can provide information that sparks an investigation. In the weeks leading up to their arrest, fans noticed the Scotts posting less on social media, a strange move for a couple who usually showcases their businesses daily. Was this a sign they were already under investigation? Were they advised to stay quiet? Once the FBI reportedly got involved, everything changed. Unlike reality TV drama, federal investigations are meticulous, paper-heavy, and methodical. For the Scotts, this meant every bank statement, every contract, and every business transaction was suddenly under scrutiny. Imagine the mental toll, going from filming a show celebrating success to sitting across from federal investigators questioning every financial detail. It's a world away from reality TV glamour, and for Latisha and Maro, it marked the start of a scandal that could follow them forever. And it didn't stop at an investigation. Reports suggest the FBI's involvement escalated to arrests, a move that signals investigators believed they had enough probable cause to take immediate action. This is the part of the story where everything flipped upside down and fans were left stunned. How did the arrests of Latisha and Maro Scott actually happen? What were they accused of? And how did they fall from power couple to people in handcuffs? When word spread that the Scotts had allegedly been taken into custody, it didn't feel like another reality TV rumor. This wasn't gossip about caste drama, it was the FBI. Federal agents, handcuffs, and lives turned inside out. For Love and Marriage, Huntsville, this moment was unprecedented. Let's rewind to how it reportedly unfolded. It was a weekday morning. Maro was balancing his construction projects and cigar lounge commitments, while Latisha managed motherhood, business, and her role on the show. But instead of a normal day, unmarked vehicles rolled into their neighborhood. Neighbors said they looked like delivery trucks until men in dark suits stepped out, jackets marked with those 3 letters, FBI. From there, things moved fast. Agents are trained for precision. One team approached the door, another secured the area, and a third prepared to serve the warrant. Witnesses described pounding on the door, followed by a scene that no amount of reality TV could stage. Latisha and Mauro confronted by federal agents demanding compliance. Inside, chaos and disbelief must have filled the air. Latisha, always composed, always determined to show her family's best face, was now powerless. Mauro, who prided himself on control and leadership, suddenly had none. This wasn't a quiet trip to the local station. This was federal. Planned, documented, and backed by evidence authorities believed justified immediate arrest. Neighbors say the most haunting image was Latisha's face as she was escorted out. Fans asked, were the kids there? Did they see it happen? While details aren't fully confirmed, some sources claim the children were indeed home. If true, imagine their heartbreak, watching their parents led away under suspicion of crimes they couldn't begin to understand. That moment alone could leave scars deeper than any TV storyline. This might be tied to the investigation, business partners, Huntsville insiders, maybe even other cast members. Suddenly, the Scots' bold demand wasn't just about them. It had the potential to trigger a domino effect, pulling others into the controversy. And here's what makes this case different. When the FBI steps in, it's never casual. They don't chase after neighborhood gossip or minor disputes. They get involved when crimes might cross state lines, involve federal funds, or carry signs of fraud and conspiracy. Which brings us to the biggest question: why the Scots? From the start of Love and Marriage, Huntsville, Latisha, and Mauro built their brand around real estate, construction, and entrepreneurship. They spoke often about wealth, breaking generational curses, and building a legacy. But with visibility comes scrutiny. As their businesses grew, whispers began: shady contracts, dissolved partnerships, funds that didn't quite add up. Insiders say federal investigators started quietly asking questions months ago about contracts, financial records, and possibly even government-backed projects. If taxpayer money or federal loans were involved, the FBI would have every reason to dig deeper. And if they suspected fraud, they wouldn't just knock, they'd build a case. The whispers go even further. Some sources believe the Scots weren't the only ones under the microscope. The FBI may be piecing together a much larger puzzle involving multiple companies and power players in Huntsville. That raises the question: were Latisha and Mauro unlucky bystanders caught in the storm, or were they right in the center of it? Perception doesn't help. On reality TV, the Scots showcased luxury homes, flashy cars, and thriving businesses. But public displays of wealth can make investigators and the public wonder if every dollar was earned clean. Some in the Huntsville business community even claim red flags had been flying for a while, saying the only surprise was that it took this long for federal agents to step in. And that's why the demand for an apology feels so explosive. The FBI usually works in silence, only moving forward when their case is strong. For them to make arrests means they believed they had enough evidence. That doesn't prove guilt, but it does suggest the situation was serious. So why would the Scots push back so hard, insisting they deserve an apology? Could it be that the case isn't as solid as people assume? Or is it a way to rewrite the story before damaging details surface? To make matters even more dramatic, speculation is growing that other names, castmates, business partners, maybe even political figures, could be linked to the same investigation. If that's true, then the Scots' arrest might not be the end. It could be just the first domino to fall.